Sustainable innovation to me means building innovation into the fabric of an organization so that it becomes part of the day-to-day of all the people within that organization, that it's encouraged and rewarded alongside all of the other activities of that business, and it's not something that's seen as owned by one team on the side. So seeing innovation as core to the future of the organization and not as a nice to have. So I think it's like no surprise to anybody that most organizations are grappling with the challenges around sustainability in all its different dimensions, whether that comes from regulation, from demands from customers, from impacts on their supply chain, from not being able to operate in the same places or in the same way that they may have been used to. And so to meet those challenges, more and more organizations are finding that their established ways of doing things, the way that they have been effective in the past just isn't working anymore. So they are finding that innovation is now essential for their survival, for them to evolve and to operate in a new world in the future, rather than just something that might enable them to develop new products or to grow. It's actually something they need to remain relevant and to remain in existence. Yeah, a good question. And my focus is very much on how do you build this into the operating model, into the fabric of the organization, and what are the different levers you can use to do that. And so in my experience, the organizations that do this well, they focus on 4 different elements. So firstly, it has to come from the top. It has to come from the CEO, from the board. Those people need to be fully bought into the concept and to the importance of doing this. And then they need to activate and empower and build the confidence among their leaders in the organization to talk about this as well. So it's not just something that's coming from the very top levels, but something that leaders at all of those senior levels can talk about confidently. The second thing then is, once you've got those leaders activated and they understand the business case for this and the importance of doing this, is actually bringing in the energy of the people in the organization, the staff, the employees. Often there's huge amount of enthusiasm for sustainability, for these kind of innovation, for these kind of topics among staff at all levels. So the trick is to capture that enthusiasm and use it in an important way without disillusioning the people that things aren't changing fast enough. And so there are many organizations that have great networks of champions, mechanisms to allow people to really feed into ideation, to decision making, to implementation. And that can be really a sort of untapped power within organizations, to use the enthusiasm of the staff. The more boring but important thing to do is to really build this into the structures, the processes, the governance of the organization, so it doesn't become just an idea, it becomes a reality. So in all of those big decisions, how do you build sustainability into business cases, into decision making? How do you think about innovation in the day-to-day, in every board meeting and every leadership team meeting? How do you incentivize leaders through targets, through financial incentives, through accountabilities to actually do the things that you want them to do? And then finally, the culture and celebrating sustainable innovation, the successes and the failures, the things that people have tried that haven't worked, because that's a big part of innovation. Things don't always work. Building this into the organizational culture, it's okay to try, to test, to learn, to fail, and actually celebrating visibly where leaders and people in the organization are doing the things that you want them to do. So realizing that to actually do this for most organizations, it is a culture shift, and it's not something that can just change because somebody said so. So thinking about all of the multiple levers that will allow that to happen. I mean, I think it's human nature to resist change, and transformation is just another word for a very big change. Even people who logically understand it still will resist it, and we're all guilty of this. But I think one thing that is often, and particularly I think actually with sustainability, one thing that is often a pitfall is not clearly enough setting out the the business case, the case for change, the reason for doing this. I think sometimes there's an assumption that people will just know why we need to change, but actually to bring it down to really practically look, here are the 3 reasons why we need to do this. Here are the reasons why it's going to be good for us as an organization, or here are the reasons why if we don't do this, we won't be able to operate anymore. But really setting out that very clear case for change in a simple way that makes sense to people at the top and at the bottom of the organization. That's something that can be really, really helpful to galvanize people around the transformation. And then the second thing, coming back to the more operating model side, that I often see is you set out a great case for change, you've got a great ambition, a great strategy, lots of really good ideas and targets, but then the nuts and bolts of the organization beneath that actually work against you. You don't change enough in terms of the governance, in terms of the KPIs, in terms of the skills and understanding of the people in your organization. And that then means that with the best will in the world, the system is working against people. And so again, only the most dedicated people will manage to change things. Yes, we work with many organizations who are really want to make this happen, and the progress might be slow at times, but actually if you look back over a few years, you can see that they have come a really long way. So it absolutely is possible. I think we're also seeing more and more organizations thinking, well, is it too much of a challenge to change the core culture of my organization, and does it make more sense to maybe set up a subsidiary or a new business line, essentially, where we can start a little bit more greenfield and we can build some of this culture in from the start. So I think it's obviously easier in many ways to do that, but I don't think we can believe that it's impossible to change organizational culture or to change the way of doing things. Otherwise we'll be very pessimistic indeed. I think we're going to have to change. There'll be hard levers and soft levers to do that, and some organizations will be ahead, some will only will be dragged along, but it's got to be possible, and I think we know ways of making it easier. So I spend a lot of my time talking to organizations about exactly this, which is, how do you move your organization in a way that it supports rather than works against your sustainability ambitions? And to do that, really, it often comes down to a real shift in mindset among the senior leadership, and among the board as well, to move from seeing sustainability as this is something that's we need to do to comply with the reporting, or it's something that team over there does, the sustainability team, and we don't need to worry about it, we can just get on with our business. For them to realize there is a real reason why we all need to think about this. It does impact, and it will impact every part of our business, and how do we therefore change to address that. But lots of organizations are at that tipping point where they're doing a lot of good stuff, but it's still quite contained in small parts of the organization with certain people. So the shift is to broaden that out to many more people, to broaden the accountability and the responsibility for making change.